to this programming tutorial, loan calculator. So this is a launch program function. Let's just kick off and start writing our program. So this program, it gets called immediately. This JS file is called, so we're just going to call it right here. Immediately gets called immediately, and we'll just add in a comment. Gets called immediately. And this program contains the event handlers for the inputs and the create loan button. And for each input, which are defined right here, we want to iterate over them with a for each loop, which takes in a callback function, and we want to write in a variable of input. For each input, we want to get one input for each input and want to do something with it. So for each input, we want to add in an event listener to it, and the event will be a key up event. That means at the point when the key is no more being pressed, we want to add in the input error handler function, and that's what I want to do. And in Justin, we want to start writing the function for the input error handler. Okay, so right here we want to use the event.target. I don't know if you know how powerful the event.target is, but just for reference purpose, let's just create a variable called input. So say const input, and don't mind this input. With this input is locally based on this function. It will not affect anything outside of this function, so we'll set it to number of e.target. So what this does is basically that it gets the value gets the value of the targeted input that we are currently at, and converts it to a number. Just to see that, we can console the log input, save, and we'll bring up the console right here. And when we start typing numbers, we see that it's in numbers. It has this blue-like look to it. If I can zoom in, you would see it clearly. But say I remove these number tags, it will just appear as a normal string. If you add in values here too, as you can see, we're just having it as normal strings, but that's not what we want. We want it to be like this. So we'll get the value for each place, and when you insert values that are numbers like letters, we get not a number. So that's what this property or function, a number constructor, does. And also we want to get another value from the e.target. So for each target of the inputs, we want to get the IDs. So say e.target. This would help us when we start writing the error handling codes. And after that, we want to declare a let variable. This want to declare a let variable, call it border color, equal to e.target .style, for styling the borders for each state of the current input that we are typing. And after that, we want to write in a switch statement, and we want to consider each of the input fields. So say consider each input fields. So the normal switch statement syntax says switch the key that we're looking for is the ID, which is this variable right here, the ID. And on the case where the ID is equal to amount, we want to consider a few things. First of all, we want to check the amount range, and we do that by writing an if statement. So we say if input, which is the current number iteration of the current input field that we are typing in, is greater than or equal to 50, in this case $50, because we're dealing with dollars, and use the and percent symbols, write it twice, and input is less than 50,000. We want to state in a condition. We want the border color attribute of the current iteration. We want to set it to green, so we'll style it to green. How? Say border color. This is how you write it in JavaScript. Okay, you can also write it this way by using the dot principle. Say border color, just like that. Just to give it the same thing, but I just want to do it like this, and I will equal that to the color of green, and you see how this will help us later. And also we want to write an else statement. If not so, we want this border property, copy, to be red, and want to hide the result. So we say result div dot style dot display. Set the display of the result div equal to none. And basically for now that will help us. And also we want to make another if statement. Say if to check if the input field is empty. So say if the current input field, which is the amount input field, is equal to empty, is equal to nothing, we want to set the border color to be equal to nothing. And this is what we need for each of the cases, and I'm just going to run through it and fast forward through it immediately, then I'm going to explain. But first, I just noticed that this is supposed to be amount, not mount. So this is amount, and we got that correct. Okay. Okay, so for now that is all we need for the div. So let's try and test it out and see what we have here. So we save, and if I write 1, as you can see, we're having a red background. Why? Because the total amount is less than 50. And I should also explain what I did here. I said the interest, for the interest, if the total amount is greater than or equal to 0, it should be green, and also rather it is less than or equal to 100. So we're having 0 to 100 on the interest. So if I put something like 1, having a green light. If I put 1000, that's greater than 100. So we're gonna get the red attribute. And if we go back to 0, 100, we're having the green line. So here if we insert 1000, that's greater than 50, and of course less than 50,000. And then in the duration, number of years to make back payments, it is meant to be less than 0, and of course it should be greater than 0 rather, and less than or equal to 12. So it shouldn't be more than 12 years. So if we say something like 0, we should have some red border indicating an error. If we say 1, we have green border indicating success. So that is working out just fine. And after this, we want to add in the text and the error text that usually appears right here when you type in something that is off, that you shouldn't type in. And the way we do that is, first of all, we want to go back to the HTML file, and just immediately below the input fields in the form, we're going to create a paragraph element with a class attribute, and we call it, we want to set the margins to 0, paddings to 0, margins and paddings. Then we want to set the text to a danger sign, which is red, and also we want the text to be small. And then afterwards, we're going to give it our own default class that we will be using in our JavaScript. We call it error message, and then tab, and it creates it all for us. We're just going to copy this and paste it at the bottom of the rest of the input fields, and save. So we go back to our app.js. So right here, we just want to go back up and get the error message fields. So we want to use this input field, so we're just going to copy it and paste. So copy and paste, and we'll call our own error message, and we'll get this our default error message class, copy and paste right here, and then we have it. And we will be accessing the error message tags is by normal conventional way of accessing arrays by using their index numbers. You will see these things when I start using them. So in the first case, where we have the input is equal to amount, that's considering this, and also considering this first p tag that we have here. If we encounter an error, we would want to set the error message to, and we would consider the first, which is at the 0 index of 0, which is this one. We would consider to set the message right there to a message, say amount should not be less than $50 or greater than $50,000. That's the message we set. Else, if we are good to go, we want to set the message back to nothing so that it would disappear. And that's really what we need from there for now. And we'll set the messages also for the rest of the so basically I'm getting the second index. Remember, arrays count from 0, and so we're considering the HTML collection. 0 array, we're having 1 and 2. So that is how I formatted these codings. So if I save and come back here, so run the program, let's say we'll create an error and it's not appearing. What are we missing? What are we missing? Oh, I didn't add the inner text property. I'm just gonna do that right away. So I'm just gonna say dot inner text txt and copy that, paste that a bunch of times down here. Save, and let's try again. One, we're having amount should not be less than 50 or greater than 50,000. If we enter 100, it gets disappeared. Interest, we're good. 11, we're good. 111, we're not good. Says interest should be 0 to 100. Durations, 1, we're good. 11, we're good. 1 on 1. 111, we're not good. Go back, and we're good. So we're actually improving and getting better in this application. And just immediately to get it all running, we want to include another attribute, just an if statement on each of the cases in the switch statement. We're going to write another if statement, and what that if statement is going to do is on the case when the user enters a value that is not a number. So check, writing a comment to check if value is not a number. We're going to use the is nan method. What it means is not a number, so it's just going to check whether the value is a number or not. So we're going to write if is not a number, is n a small letter a and capital letter N. Again, we'll be taking the input variable. And what we want to do when this happens is that we want to set the error message of that current input field in equal to invalid input. And I want to copy this and paste it right here just before the break statement, also right here, and save. And if we try this out, say we enter 1 and we're having the normal error. If we enter an alphabet, okay, I think I missed the inner text again. Copy. I want to make those mistakes. Invalid input. I'm just going to copy this. Copy. I want to get the third one here. Right here, we want to get the second one. So we use the index of 1. And finally, right here, we want to get the last index. So we save again. And let's try that out. So enter letters, we get invalid inputs. If we enter numbers that are not according to the range, we get the normal errors. If we enter the real numbers according to the range, we have a green border right here indicating success. If we enter a letter with a number, we get invalid input. So you're seeing how nice the error handling is coming up. And I think we're really gone far in this video, this part of the video. So we're gonna continue. I'm so sorry we're taking so much time. I'm gonna continue on the video next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.